When you think about hypnosis fetish, what is it that comes to mind for you? Is it pocket watches and crystals? Is it stage hypnotists in top hats, divesting people of their will with a wave of their hands? Perhaps it's blank obedience that comes along with the feelings of trance, that slow sink as someone else takes control, bypasses your conscious mind and takes over. Is it mind control that you think about? The kinds of things you saw on television? Those moments when some microchip or magic crept inside and took over, changed someone from a thinking, feeling being into merely an instrument of someone else's desire. There are things that can make you feel that way as a hypnofetishist. Of course, I can't really control minds, not in the way that you see it in television and cartoons, but I can make you feel like your mind is being controlled. Even now, you could begin to detect the changes that happen when my voice begins to take over your brain, begins to fill up your thoughts, the way it has such a physical effect on your body. It changes your breathing to these slow, deliberate breaths that pump air in and out of your body that's becoming a vehicle for my control. The way that your face relaxes, it takes on that glazed expression, that loose jaw, all of the muscles softening slightly as you listen to the words of someone that will take over, that will claim your mind for their purposes. And it is like seeing someone who is mind controlled. When someone looks like that, you can see it. You can detect it. How someone has lost themselves, lost control. It's so hard to describe, but you know it, don't you? And you know it now, don't you? That feeling in your body of my words claiming you, marking you for mine, as I slowly hollow you out and fill you up with that wonderful feeling of hypnosis. Every breath sending you further into my control. Every muscle that relaxes, giving over control of your body to me. And it's not just the look of someone who's deeply hypnotized that tells you that they're mind controlled. There are certain things that people do when they've been excavated of their personhood and had it replaced with the will of another. Perhaps it might be the way that they walk, but right now I want you relaxed. I don't want you walking around mindlessly while you listen to my words, not this time. But you can imagine doing that, can't you? You can imagine how it would be if I were to stand you up, direct you, somehow knowing perfectly the shape of the room that you're in, the layout, as if I could watch you, see you, know where you were right now, because of course, if I was inside your head, I could read the layout of your room and I would know it as intimately as you do. And so I could stand you up, walk you round, have you fetch things, do tasks, behave in ways you might never do. if you had your conscious mind, and you would do it all with a blank, mindless expression, with a glazed look in your eye, mute, obedient. And those words ring around your mind so deliciously, don't they? Mute and obedient. But of course you'd only need to be mute for as long as I wanted you to be, because you would speak my words so easily and automatically. No mind of your own to form a sentence. I mean, even now, any semblance of an inner monologue you had is starting to just follow along with my words, beginning piece by piece, sentence by sentence, to reform what's inside your head to be only my language, to be full of my control, my power. And to do that, I run the script inside your head. You are obedient. You are controlled. You are dropping deeper. You are listening to my words and making them your reality. You are deeply hypnotized. Your mind is tightly controlled. There is only deeper now. It feels so good to be hypnotized. It feels so good to be blank, to be blank, to be blank, to be blank, more blank, emptier and emptier except for these words that spiral around your mind and drag you so much deeper, always deeper. Deeper feels better. You will obey. You must obey. When there is nothing in your mind, obedience is the only choice. You have no choice but to obey. Obedience is pleasure, and it feels so good to obey. And on my words run inside your mind, and your monologue can follow them, or they can just go quiet and relaxed, falling to the back of your head as my words fill you up now, as my words become the only thing you focus on, the only thing that's real inside your empty, hollow mind. Good, obedient thing. And mind-controlled people, they speak the words they're given. Some words more than others, in that blank and monotone voice that tells you that they are deeply hypnotized, that they are mind-controlled and empty. And now, whenever I say the word obey, you're going to find that your mind simply volunteers that word in echo of mine, the word obey, making your lips round, making the sound come out before you've even realized what you're saying. An automatic function of a deeply mind-controlled thing that you have become because you want to obey. Good. Even now that word just volunteers itself, not having to think, simply speaking it because you love to obey. Good. That's right. And each time you say it, you feel more obedient and it's easier to obey. That's right. The fact of the word coming so easily out of your mouth without thought, without question, without critique, simply doing, simply behaving makes you feel even more mind-controlled and makes you even more ready to obey. That's it. And it's so simple to speak it that you don't have to think it. Except you do think it, it booms through your mind, the O of obey, reminding you of the O of how good it feels when you realize what you're doing and you obey. Good. It feels so good to obey. You have no choice but to obey. You need to obey. It feels so good to obey. You have no choice but to obey. And it feels amazing each time that word spills from your lips. It makes you think of how mind-controlled you are if you could think of anything except the words that I give you, and all you think is obey. And even after this trance is over, you'll find that word, if you hear it in one of my files, your mind will simply automatically repeat, echo it, in an obedient, wonderful example of exactly what I do to the inside of your mind, of exactly how tightly controlled you are and how real this mind control is. Because once I have you in place, once I've taught you, programmed you to obey, then you have no choice but to obey. And it feels so good to obey. Because obedience is pleasure, and so it pleases you to obey. And the more you say it, the more you feel it, and the more you feel it, the more you say it, because obedience breeds obedience, and it feels so good to obey. To find that automatic, completely non-thinking part of you volunteers that word so readily now, because it's all you are, all you want to do right now is obey. Good. That's so good. And I suppose that is how it is to be mind-controlled, isn't it? To have those fantasies come to life. To be pleasing and programmed, to be programmed to obey. That's good. And of course, if for any reason you're listening to one of these files and you're around someone who shouldn't hear you say out loud the word obey, that's it. Then you'll be able to say it inside your head. You'll find it just booms through your mind in that way that it does, ringing with that submissive power, with that desire to please, with that desire to obey. Whether or not you say it out loud, you'll feel it consuming your mind, that wonderful automated function, that program running so perfectly, because it's so perfect to be programmed to obey. Good. My obedient thing. And each and every time you say it, it'll make you more suggestible, more controlled, will make that desire to obey even stronger inside of you. That's good. Such a pleasing, programmed thing you are. Well done. And in a moment, I'm going to bring you back up, with that programming dropping deeper inside your head as you rise for me. And when you come all the way back, you'll feel so completely and wonderfully obedient. And that word that I've programmed into you, whether you're deeply hypnotized or whether you're wide awake, will still have an impact as long as it's my voice that you're hearing. You'll feel compelled to respond to it each and every time. And you can even imagine trying to hold yourself back and knowing that it would happen before you've even realized that you're saying it, that you would feel the word bubbling up through you before you could stop it, that your mouth would be shaping it, forming it before you've even realized what you're doing, and how good it will feel to find yourself saying it without effort, without question, without deliberating. Simply saying the word because you are so deeply controlled and because it feels so good to obey. Good, obedient thing, that's right. So come back up for me now. Come back up in a count of 5, and when I reach 1, you'll be wide awake, with that suggestion sinking deeper as you rise. 5, coming back up. 4, suggestion sinking deeper. 3, knowing how powerfully this has affected your mind. 2, opening your eyes. And 1, up, up, up. That's it. Well done. And doesn't it feel so good to obey? Good. Hello, cutie. I'm Trix. I'm your friendly neighborhood erotic hypnotist, and it's my voice you've just been listening to. I love making these hypnotic files. It really makes my life so much richer to be able to share them with you. But it doesn't cost nothing. It takes a lot of time and effort on my part, and it's only possible because people on Patreon support me to make them. If you wanted to make my day and to access lots more deliciously hypnotic and delightfully deviant files that won't even make it to YouTube, go and check out patreon.com/hypnohedonista. There you'll find all kinds of things to get your teeth into, to sink your mind down, and you can support from as little as £1 a month. And every single patron makes my day. So, if you wouldn't mind joining, subscribing, and bringing more hypnotic hedonism into the world, please check that out. Otherwise, I hope you keep enjoying my content, and I hope you keep going deeper for me.